welcome back to Linda's Pantry. So tonight I'm gonna have to prep ahead my pulled pork that I'm making, and as you saw in the title, it's a Chipotle pulled pork. It's super easy, full of flavor. You're gonna love this, and it's using the crock pot, so there couldn't be anything easier. And this is my little 4-quart crock pot. This pork shoulder roast is only 4.5 pounds, so really probably only 4 pounds of meat because it is a bone-in. Super good deal on that. I wish I could have bought a bunch more. I would have canned some, but they only had one. It was 99 cents a pound. Okay. These are Crock Pot Liners. If you haven't seen these, I recommend you try them because it kind of spoils you. You don't have to clean that crock. I bought these on Amazon, and I'll post a link in the description box below where you can get this brand. This is Kitchen Collection brand slow cooker liners, and there's 10 bags in this for $4 and something, where you only get 4 bags if you buy the Reynolds brand in the store for $4 something. So to me it was worth trying to see, and I really like them. They do just fine. And then you want to put about 1/4 cup of water in your crock underneath the bag, okay? It calls for, I think it calls for 1/2 cup, but I found that it doesn't need that much. It calls for a whole cup, sorry. It doesn't need that much water in there. So it just needs a little bit to steam and keep the bag, well, I guess, I don't know. And so then I go ahead and I put, I've got 1 whole sweet onion that I've just put a big slice on, and I'm gonna place these down on the bottom of the crock. It's gonna work as a bed for my pork to lay on. And I love this little 4-quart crock pot. I bought it for when my husband worked out of town so he could make meals for himself. And
Perfect.
Then, when I saw this pork roast, I was like, oh, it'll fit perfect. So we get a clean fork to get down my chipotle peppers. And because this is a smaller amount of meat, we're not going to use the whole can. And you want the chipotle peppers in adobo. And so I'm going to put 3 of those in there. And this brand in particular is very smoky. I really like it. A little bit more of the sauce. And I'll find a use for those peppers. Let's put 4. We'll just be spicier. And they really, you don't have to worry about chopping them up because they're going to break down in the cooking process. So now that that's done, I've got 4 cloves of garlic with a real big rough chop on them. Not too particular because, again, it's going to melt down into that meat. And when I pull the meat, it's all going to work. So this is all prepped for tomorrow morning, and all I have to do in the morning is put this sleeve in the crock pot, put it on low, and let it rip. And by the time we get home from work, this will be done. Now, if this was a bigger roast, like double this size, I would probably go ahead and put it on high and get it going before I left for work and then put it down on low. But I'm not going to have to worry. The size of this roast is just perfect. So there we go. We're going to let this go, and you really don't need any liquid in here. If you want to put some liquid, I would either put chicken stock or a beer. And maybe we'll do well, guys, it's the next evening, and our crock pot smells fantastic. I opened the door, and actually I could smell it when I was in the garage. I opened the door and went, oh, dinner's already done. That's so awesome. Anyways, all I have to do is a couple little things. Now, I prepared a coleslaw to go on our pulled pork sandwiches. It was a toss-up between tacos and sandwiches tonight, and we opted for sandwiches. I have really fresh, bakery fresh rolls that are soft, and I'm going to dress this with my homemade, this is a raspberry serrano barbecue sauce. And it's full of texture and spice. It's just delicious. So I'll try to post a link in the description box so you can watch how I made that. And I made enough to can. I've also got my home canned pork and beans that are absolutely phenomenal. We'll have those on the side. And I'll bring you over for a close-up because this is too far away to have this all happen. So guys, we'll come in for a close-up and I'll show you how this pork looks, because I opened it and started, touching it with the fork, and I went, oh, I gotta save that for you guys. So let's get to making our stuff. It's going to be fantastic, and I'll show you how I do it.
So I've had my crock pot now on, it's been, oh gosh, about 13 hours on low. So, and I love these liners. You guys, you gotta have them. Oh, look at that. I hope you can see that. It's been on warm since I got home from work, so it's actually, if you can see that, it's still bubbling, but you've got quite a bit of fat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fat separator. I will post a link to this. This is a beautiful fat separator. I got it on Amazon and I love it. I've used it a couple times for when I'm skimming broth, bone broth and other stuff. And I really didn't add that much liquid to this, but I definitely, whatever liquid I do have, I like to strain it off and get the fat out of there. We want to save the flavor, not the fat. So I just take my ladle and get down in there, and it catches all the little bits of garlic and everything. If you just shred the pork, which I totally can shred it right now, then it's going to be pretty wet and maybe not exactly what you want for your sandwich or for, let's say you're doing tacos. I don't want soupy tacos. So I like to try to strain some of this broth off. And then I'm going to pull out the pork into a separate container, and I'm going to pull that apart, and I'll bring you in for that close-up. So this is how I do it, and oh my gosh, it's like unbelievably smelling delicious. It is like making me crazy how good this smells. So, ooh, look, so you can see the fat separating already. That's a pretty good layer of fat. This is so nice to have. I think it's a must-have for the kitchen. So let me get some pork out and we'll shred it and get the rest of the juice out of here, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. Because some of this is going to be for barbecue, some of this is going to be for tacos. The garlic is soft and it'll just disappear inside this, and it turns really sweet. So this didn't have a huge fat cap on it, so I really don't have to worry about fishing out big pieces of fat. Now that I have all the meat out of there, I'm going to use my handy dandy strainer. I set that right there for you so you can see that. And I'm pulling that liner right out of the crock pot, and I'm going to empty what's left as far as liquid goes into the strainer. So now my bag is empty. It can go back into the crock pot because my meat is going to return into here to keep it warm while I prepare the rest of So I'm going to separate it, and the part that we're going to use tonight will go back in the slow cooker bag to keep it warm. The rest of it will cool down, and I'll put it in the refrigerator. And I just can't stand it anymore. I better have a bite with a little bit of onion. How's that? Mm-hmm. Yum. Oh my goodness. That is delicious. Ah. All right, I'm going to separate it. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my pork and beans out in a bowl to heat these up. We like them warm. You can eat them either way. This recipe comes out of the bulk canning book, and it's delicious. It's going to remind you of the pork and beans that you can buy in a can. Only a pint jar, for me, gives me an actual pint. A 15.5-ounce can in the grocery store gives you about, maybe 10 ounces. It's really disappointing, I think, when you open that. And it's not inexpensive anymore. So if you want to save yourself some money, take a day and can up some pork and beans for the year. Okay, so I've got my barbecue sauce. I've put my half of the pork back in the crock pot, and I am going to, the other half went in the refrigerator. I put it back on high to heat it up because this barbecue sauce is going to cool it off a little bit. So I'm going to open this, a nice seal. Smell that. It smells like raspberries and peppers. And then I'm going to go ahead, it just smells fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and add down some barbecue sauce. We're going to use a little less than half that and see what we have. I'm probably going to use more. Yep, oh yeah. Definitely. Go ahead and pour a little bit more in. Don't worry, I'm going to bring you in for a close-up of how delicious and saucy this is. And then we're also going to sauce our sandwiches. So I'll probably leave it at that because I want a quarter of this jar left to actually put over our sandwiches, you know, just extra sauce. But it smells delicious. Now this meat's been cooled down a bit, so we're going to go ahead and let this heat back up while I get the buns ready and heat up the beans. And I better taste it while I'm in here, right? Because I may not do a taste test with the actual bun. So there's a pretty good sized YouTube bite. Oh my gosh, I love the raspberry. Raspberry and serrano peppers have a unique flavor. They're absolutely one of my favorites. So there you go. We're going to let this heat back up. We're going to get our bakery buns ready, heat up our beans, and I want to let you know we got a whole pint of that beautiful stock from that pork. This can be used in soups. It can be used in anything, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator, and I'll use it up this week somehow, even if it's just to cook rice. It's tasty. Okay, so I'm ready. I've got our nice soft roll. Got pork and beans out here. I'm going to go ahead and pile it up. That beautiful pulled pork. It is. I left put the crock pot back on high so it would heat up really fast for about a half hour, and then I've just turned it off and it's been sitting there, and you could tell it's really steamy hot. And we like a lot of meat on our pulled pork sandwich, and then you're gonna put down that barbecue sauce. Don't be stingy when it comes to this. And then I've got a great slaw that I want to put on here that I made, and I used purple and white cabbage, so you're going to see a little bit of both. And oh my gosh, how delicious is
So
this
look how beautiful that is. And I'm not going to take a bite of my husband's sandwich tonight because I'm going to make myself a small one, and I'll probably have a quarter of this sandwich and a little bit of the beans. But I will take a bite of the meat. Unbelievable. Oh my gosh. It's definitely going to be a messy sandwich, but so good. That pork is just mouth-watering tender, and the raspberry really shines through in this, and so does the serrano pepper. So I hope that if you haven't seen that video, you go watch that video and check out all the links that I've left for you in the description box below. I'll have an Amazon link that maybe I can save you some money with. And I've got my Facebook page. Go say hi over there and join in on the conversation. And as always, guys, if you're not a subscriber, I hope you hit subscribe. And I can't wait to see you next time with another delicious recipe. Or maybe it's going to be Kitchen Tip Tuesday or What You Think Wednesday. All right, I'll see you then.